All right, coming up, we have stories about an update, not getting upset about being uninvited from a wedding. Hope you guys remember that story because we have the update for it. Neighbors painting your house without permission. Could be a good or bad thing. Canceling wedding vendors. Dad versus stepmom. My sister is in love with my husband but doesn't want to hurt me. Pregnancy and cake. That's right. A Sunday night cake story. Heyo. Blended family letting my daughter keep her room against my fiance's wishes. We're in for a ride. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that for free. Hello, my name is Dusty, and I read Reddit stories. This one's an update for the Am I the Astronaut for not getting upset or convincing the bride after I was uninvited at my friend's wedding. Do y'all remember this one? I will be posting an update here because, frankly, I do not have the time to edit or shorten up the post. I exceeded the character limit, and there was a whole lot going on that I did not want to leave out, so I will be copying the post here. Hello to all. A lot of you have been asking me for an update, so I might as well make one. Before I do that, I want to clear up a couple of things that a lot of people have been confused about. One, when I went dress shopping with Matthew's sister, she brought Jennifer along because she wanted us to put our differences aside for Matthew's sake. This shopping trip was not for Jennifer to buy a wedding dress, as she had already purchased her dress a long time ago. I hope that clears things up. I would never try on a dress or purchase one if the bride is the one who is shopping for a dress. That is an obvious rule, LOL. I didn't know that. I did not know this was an obvious rule, but then again, I'm rarely part of the bridal party. 2, Matthew and I never had romantic feelings for each other. We never hooked up or anything of that nature. Our relationship has always been and will be platonic. I'm going to go straight to the point with this update. This is going to come out as a shock to a lot of you, but Jennifer called off the wedding. I found out from our friends who messaged me. I asked what happened, and they explained that Jennifer told Matthew she couldn't marry him and admitted that her behavior towards me, as well as towards a couple of other people, which includes Matthew's sister and his best friend Jacob. Hold up. And admitted that her behavior towards me, as well as a couple of other people, which includes Matthew. Oh, so she admitted her behavior. She apologized to Matthew and realized that she isn't in the right place to get married. This happened about 2 days before the wedding. I decided to call Matthew, and I told him I heard about the wedding being called off and assured him I'll be here if he ever wants to talk. He asked if we could meet, and I agreed. Matthew explained that Jennifer had severe trust issues, not just regarding me, but with his best friend Jacob. Jacob was supposed to be Matthew's best man, but he was also uninvited by Jennifer over the fact that Jacob might encourage Matthew to cheat. Yeah, severe trust issues is right. Matthew also told me Jennifer has constantly accused Matthew of possibly cheating on her with me, despite showing her evidence that we did nothing of the sort. It had gotten to the point where Jennifer would prevent Matthew from going out with his friends. She would sometimes confiscate his phone, and she has even taken his car keys, causing him to be late for work. So there's been a lot more happening behind closed doors. Matthew wasn't blinded by love. He was simply afraid to reach out to any of us for help. He was embarrassed to tell us that his bride-to-be was doing more than just controlling the wedding guest list. Why would you? Okay. I asked Matthew if he wanted to go with us on vacation, but he declined, stating he wants to be alone, which I do understand. I go on vacation, and I had a fun time. By the way, I did wear the dress that I bought and wore that to dinner with my boyfriend. He loved the dress and had constantly complimented me the entire time. When we returned, Jennifer messaged me, which I was surprised by, as she never once did such a thing. She asked me if we could meet. At first, I wasn't sure, but I agreed. I brought my boyfriend along for safety reasons, smart move, as I wasn't sure what Jennifer's intentions were with me. Jennifer told me that she wants to apologize for lashing out at me at the store, for calling me names, and for uninviting me to the wedding over something so small. She explained that she allowed her jealousy to get the better of her, and she was so scared of losing Matthew that she ended up doing things that she deeply regrets. Jennifer is going to get therapy and said that she had some trauma in her childhood that lingered into her relationship in ways she did not expect. She also admitted that she was insecure and found me to be a very beautiful woman, and she was a bit jealous when Matthew and I talk about our hobbies, and that made her feel left out because she isn't into Minecraft or gaming. I told her none of those things matter to me now since she has apologized and admitted what she did wasn't right and that I have forgiven her. As for Matthew and I's friendship, we are now back to hanging out and playing games together. Even my boyfriend has been hanging out with Matthew a lot, and they've gotten closer. I did decide to ask Matthew if he ever did have a crush on me back in the day, and he said he never did, and that he was being honest. Jennifer moved her stuff out, and as for the cabin where the wedding was supposed to take place, Matthew, my boyfriend, myself, and a couple of our other friends will go there this upcoming weekend. I apologize for taking too long. I think posting it on my personal profile rather than the subreddit is better since I broke the character limit. I'm quite busy, and I know everyone was dying for an update. I'd also like to thank everybody who's given me advice on how to handle this situation in my friendship with Matthew. I also had the chance to read some personal stories some of you have sent me, and it breaks my heart. I realized I have such a big support group here, and that's one thing I love about Reddit. Indeed. Speaking of, the Dusty Thunder subreddit has blown up. It's massive. It's awesome. If you're not part of it yet, and you do anything on Reddit, go be part of it. It is a lovely community there. It sounds like unreconciled trauma. Here's the cool part to me. Typically, when somebody has issues like this, like severe trust issues with some kind of trauma seeding that, they don't have the emotional wisdom to hit the pause button and be like, what's going on? And I wonder who she talked to come to this realization. If she came to it on her own, that's an incredible emotional wisdom that is rare, right? Normally, it takes somebody else being like, do you think this might have something to do with this? And then for them to be like, oh, damn. So maybe she talked this out with some people that tried to connect the dots for her. Maybe she just pondered on it long enough to try to figure things out. Maybe if she felt herself having out of character reactions for everything, she sat down and self-evaluated, which is a wise thing to do. It's rarely the case. It rarely is the case for, to have emotional wisdom. It's normally it just snowballs into some kind of chaotic thing. And obviously it did snowball to some kind of chaotic thing. For that to happen and then the realization to happen is even more rare, I think. I mean, good for Matthew for this happening. 2 days, I know it's 2 days before the wedding, and that makes me think a lot what a lot of you are thinking as well. Can we say attention-seeking behavior? Calling this off 2 days before the wedding, I'm just not in the right place. Bitch, probably should have figured that out more than 2 days before the wedding. The flip side of that coin is it's before the wedding. It's before there was a lifetime commitment made. It was before this could have been a lot messier. So good for everybody? ? Wonder how long her behavior went on. Matthew needed help, so it probably wasn't out of character. Christine, you're right. He was afraid to ask for help because he was afraid how she would react, which means that there was enough of a precedent built for him to worry, right? So it had been going on for a while. So how long, and was it truly out of character, or was this her new character? If it got bad enough for her to realize how bad she was being, why didn't it get bad enough for him to pump the brakes and say, I don't know if I want to do this for the rest of my life? Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again with another Reddit story for you. This one comes from Best of Redditor Updates. Heyo. And is titled, My Neighbors Didn't Like the Color My House Was, so they had it painted a different color while I was out of town. Okay, here we go. This was originally posted September 5th, 2015. OG. So this is probably a really weird question for me to ask, but it's a weird situation and I'm not totally sure what I can do. My house is on a corner lot. 2 years ago, a newlywed couple moved into the one house that's beside me. Right away, they started making weird comments about the color my house was painted, yellow, and soon switched to outright demanding that I paint it a different color. My house was painted yellow when it was built. I like the color and there's no bylaw against it or anything. They have called the police on me about it, as well as the city, both of whom told them to pound sand because I hadn't done anything wrong and there was nothing they could do. They also tried suing me in court. The suit was thrown out and they had to pay my legal fees, and getting our other neighbors together to form a homeowners association in hopes eventually I could be forced to paint my house a different color. Our other neighbors also told them to pound sand, and they have basically alienated themselves from everyone else in the neighborhood at this point. Hold up. They just assumed that everybody felt the same way. They're like, everyone, can you believe what she's doing? Come here, let's form a group. We can all be against her. And they're like, no, just no. I recently had to go out of town for something. I was gone for 2 weeks. When I got back 2 days ago, my house was gray. Oh shit. Seriously, I actually almost drove past it because I'm so used to my yellow house. I knew immediately who was responsible. When I went over and knocked on their door, no one answered. Oh my gosh, that's a shock. I think the couple figured out that I was away and not just at work when they saw our neighbors collecting my mail for me, because I sure as hell never told them I was going away, and I know my other neighbors hate them too and didn't tell them. The neighbor from across the street came over and showed me pictures that he took of the painting company setting up and doing the work. He said he and another neighbor called the police, but the painting company had a valid work order and had been paid, so the police couldn't do anything. Bullshit! Contact the homeowner, make sure they have permission. How about that? He also told us about it, but because they were paid to do the work, they said they had to do it to avoid being sued. I called the painting company to get a copy of the work order, and it was in the name of a Ms. Jane Smith and was paid for in cash. A redheaded woman and her redheaded husband came to the company to hire them. My neighbors are both redheads, saying they would be out of town and would like their house painted while they were gone. They gave the painting company pictures of my house taken from the street. I had a surveillance camera at my front and side doors and in my backyard because I work shifts, and as a woman living alone, I don't want some stranger breaking into my house and waiting to ambush me when I get home. My neighbors never set foot on my property at any time, so they can't be charged with trespassing, and they didn't do the painting, which was actually done properly. When I called the police, they reiterated that since the painters were hired, had a valid work order, and were paid to do the job, they can't be charged with trespassing because it was reasonable for them not to know, and that they were acting in good faith and didn't cause any physical damage to the house. Also, the neighbors can't be charged with trespassing or vandalism because they didn't come on my property or touch the house themselves. What? I don't know if I can sue anyone because there was no actual damage or harm done to me or to the house. My neighbors still have not answered their door or shown themselves. I am pissed off beyond belief because I like my yellow house, and I can't believe how crazy that they have been. I wish I could show a court or city council how psycho they have been over this. I want to know if I have any recourse or if I can do something to get them to pay to paint the house back to yellow. Does anyone know what I can do to get them to fix this and paint it back? Edit, I live in the state of Louisiana. Relevant comments before we get to that. Lady, hire somebody to paint their house yellow. Yeah, it takes you some money, but just like they did this, you couldn't be charged for shit. And hopefully what will happen is they'll have to pay again to have their own house repainted because they hate yellow that much. Relevant comments here. Commenter, call your homeowner's insurance. File a vandalism claim. Insurance company pays you. Paint your home back yellow. Give insurance company all the information and let them sue them. This is why you have insurance. Another comment, they defaced your property. That is vandalism. Depending on how much it costs to fix it, it may be a felony. You also have damages. The cost of painting your house back to the color you like. The principle applies to someone who paints a beautiful mural on a drab gray wall. That is still vandalism, even though in many respects it is an improvement. On how much a new paint job would cost, original OP, they paid $4,000 in cash, according to the painting company. Before we dive into the update, we got to talk about this for a second. They paid $4,000 in cash just because they didn't like their neighbor's house being yellow. Laura, I get it. If she's going to paint a house, repaint her own. But if there truly is nothing that can be done to hold them accountable, follow the same path. Be petty. Paint it bright pink. Well, the yellow, really bothers them. Yeah, you could be really petty with this. You really could. Like, how the hell is there nothing you can do about this? So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what, yeah. And if they know that they can do this now, where does it stop? They're going to have your house re-roofed now? They're going to start having somebody mow your lawn? I don't know. Oh. It's going to end up looking like a friggin' the neighborhood from Edward Scissorhands here soon. Imagine your neighbor's house color bothering you so much you were going to drop $4,000 on it. So you don't have to look at the color yellow. There's so much that they could do. They could have just gave me the $4,000. No shit. Like, they didn't even let you choose the shade of gray. This is like, my neighbor was depressed, hates happy colors, painted my house gray without my permission. And there's nothing you can do? Bullshit. Bullshit. The testimony from the painting company says a redheaded couple came in. Hire a sketch artist. Connect the dots. There's got to be something here that can be done. Okay, here's the update. Next day, September 6th, 2015. I was going to wait until after the weekend to talk to the lawyer I used for their last lawsuit against me, but there have been further developments, so I had to call him this morning. Beyond the fact that they have filed another lawsuit against me for the cost of the painters. Yes, seriously, I can't say anything further about what all has happened on the advice of my lawyer. I will provide an update once everything is resolved. They filed a suit for the cost of the painters, thereby claiming their crime. Situation's starting to look a little more yellow here, OP. Edit, thank you to everybody who responded to my last post. You really know how to make your girl feel special. Relevant comments here. Comment! Well, I suppose that makes proving culpability pretty easy. The painters are no longer needed to pin the neighbors. Comment, seriously, didn't they just completely incriminate themselves? If so, that's actually awesome news for OP. Comment, they did. And what's better is that they're too stupid to realize they've incriminated themselves. Oh my gosh. But that's the end of the story. This is the end of the story. They fully incriminated themselves. But the question remains, even though they've now claimed the deed, can something be done? Do we have any attorneys in chat? Candy Thunder says, this is going to be my first true crime investigation. Legitimately. The last update was in 2015. Candy Thunder found this and was telling me the basics of it, and it was like, it's too good not to use here. Now, here's my funny story. By the way, yes, neighbors, still ask on one. I don't care if they thought they were doing a good deed. They knew they weren't. They did it strictly for their own benefit. But how entitled can someone be to be like, the color of your house has accosted my eyes. I'm going to change it. Thank you very much. And to feel completely justified in that. So much so that they sue for the cost of the painters. We've got Mrs. Bizzo and Mr. Brozo here. Why would they buy a house next to a yellow house? If yellow was a deal breaker, why would they move in there? Oh no, they moved in and they're like, we'll take care of that later. I'm sorry. Like what? I'm sorry, my lord, my lady. Yes, of course. Choose the colors of all the houses around you. We wouldn't want it to displease your eyes. Wouldn't want to present you with any happy colors. We know how you like everything dull and drab. It is malicious. It is entirely malicious. It's their world. We're just living in it. Trying to. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Telling My Wife That It Was Her Fault? And it's from AITA. Okay, my wife and I recently adopted a 1-year-old baby boy. I also have a 14-year-old daughter from a previous marriage. My daughter has made it clear that she hates my son. She will not babysit no matter what. That's what she says. That's not good. Yesterday, my wife had to go grocery shopping and my daughter went with her because she needed something. While they were there, my wife needed to go to the bathroom. She asked my daughter to watch my son for a few minutes while she went to the bathroom, but my daughter refused. My wife told her that she doesn't have an option. She wasn't asking her. She was telling her to do this. My daughter told her that if she leaves the baby with her, she's going to leave the baby alone. My wife said, "Don't you dare do that," and left our son with her to go to the bathroom. She returned to find the baby alone, and my daughter was nowhere to be seen. Nope. It was a miracle that nothing happened to him. She later found my daughter back in the car, and they had a terrible fight. When I came home from work, my wife told me everything. I told her that she made a mistake by leaving the baby with her when she told her she would leave the baby alone. I mean, we both know my daughter. When she says she will do something, then she absolutely will do it. So I told my wife that it was really her fault. What? She's your 14-year-old kid who apparently has no accountability in the entire world that she lives in and can just do whatever the hell she wants. But because she said she was going to do it, it's okay. What? She started yelling at me saying, "How dare I blame her and not my daughter?" I told her that I will have a conversation with my daughter and punish her, but she's just a kid, and my wife is the one responsible for the baby. She called me an ass. You are an ass, sir. What? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, A special guest has left us some notes on this story. Ava Thunder. Ava Thunder's notes here. I just turned 15 and I could not imagine doing this to a stranger. Even if I didn't like children, I wasn't asked to babysit. I was asked to stand next to a shopping cart for 2 minutes so someone could pee. It's not that deep. It's not about not wanting to watch a baby. This is about being a decent person and giving someone a helping hand so they don't have to take a 1-year-old baby into a public restroom, which even I know is gross. The daughter used a baby to make her point, and it is disgusting to me. Ava Thunder. Here's the difference, OP. Ava Thunder's a DFHB. Your daughter is not. And you're cool with it for some reason, which puts you right there with her. Also, refusing to hold her account. What did I do here? Yeah, that's the right one. It's ASCON 1. You're the worst. Refusing to hold her accountable, refusing to ask her to do anything at all to contribute? Let me ask you this. This daughter of yours who was riding with your wife to the store with the bebe, she tagged along so she could get something because she needed something too. Who was paying for that thing that she needed? Who brought her there? Sometimes you have to pitch in and help out. 2 minutes ain't that deep. Top comment, YTA, you are an absolutely terrible husband and a dog shit father. I've never heard anyone so deeply disconnected from reality. Your daughter had such a deep and narcissistic sense of entitlement that she left an infant unattended. And not just any infant, her brother. And that doesn't set off alarm bells for you? That is sociopathic AF for both you and your daughter. I feel immense sadness for your wife. She must have the hardest life dealing with you two. If a stranger handed my daughter a baby and ran away, I know that she would never leave that baby unattended because she is a human with a functioning brain. Sort your shit out. WTAF. OP was a real piece of work in comments. The only reason he had a second kid is because his wife begged for one. He is happy with just his daughter. His wife is the problem, not his baby girl. A step-parent is someone who takes care of a child but has no authority or respect to parent. Commenters mentioned that the stepmom is within her right to not go above and beyond for stepdaughter, and dad said he would divorce wife if she treated his baby girl like that. So it's one-sided. Cool. What if the baby was taken? Yeah, Michelle, I'm sure in a court of law, could she be charged with abandoning the child, or would it revert back to mom because a 14-year-old said, I'm gonna leave? OP, you're a dumbass. A dumbass. You're basically saying my 14-year-old daughter can do or say whatever the hell she wants to do, and which includes treating my wife like shit. But if my wife treats my daughter in any kind of way, divorce. Okay? Divorce. OP, run. If not for your own happiness, for the safety of your child, because if this 14-year-old girl was willing to do this in public, what is she going to be willing to do in private? This is evil. She hates this kid to the point where she gave zero shits if anything happened to this kid. Get out of there. Get out. For both of your sake. Not even just can't trust you to be alone with this child. It's I can't trust you to be around this child, period. I can't trust you to be within a 10-foot proximity of this child, which means we can't live together. So OP, taking the role of the wife here, either you get her shit under control and get her in counseling because something is broken, or we're done. That's it. Either there's a path to resolution here or there's not. And there's not because he doesn't care. So let's follow the inevitable path for a moment here. They get divorced. 1-year-old is safe because 1-year-old is away from all of this bullshit. He still has problems because his 14-year-old daughter doesn't give a shit about giving a shit. This is going to manifest in different ways. What's the next thing she's going to decide to be angsty about? And how far is she willing to go? Because this is a first step, right? She, on her first step, went to a criminal level. So what's she going to do next? And it's not going to be to your wife or kid because they're gone, man. You done burned that bridge. Your dumbass just fueled the fire. You deserve the solitude and the life of solving your daughter's problems that you're getting ready to enjoy. Go f*** yourself. Hope you end up with neighbors that paint your house a shitty color. Blue blobby. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one's from Am I the Devil? Things are looking up for OP, right? And is titled, Will I Be the Astronaut If I Canceled My Daughter's Wedding Vendors Right Before Her Wedding? I mean, probably. Hi all, looking for some advice and using a throwaway since my daughter, let's call her Stacy, is occasionally on Reddit. Stacy and I had an on-off relationship over the years that's been stressed at the best of times and zero contact at the worst. A year ago, we had a big reconciliation and as a show of good faith, I agreed to help her pay for her upcoming wedding. The photographer, catering, and cake supplier are all in my name and on my card to the tune of more than $10,000 total. Okay, so this is we don't know if this is mom or dad, but Stacy is the daughter. They've had an on and off relationship over the years, but OP is paying for $10K of the wedding. Fast forward to a couple of weeks ago, and we had another one of our huge fights. Not sure the reason is important. And Stacy basically told me directly to my face that I am uninvited from the wedding, and she doesn't want me to be there or in her life anymore. Well, I think our votes are going to change here, folks. She's been overly dramatic before, but this sounded more serious. I, maybe an overreaction of my own, called the photographer and caterer. Now that we're so close to the wedding date, most of my payments are almost completely non-refundable, and I could only get a few $100s back of what I've paid at this point. I'm not going to argue that. The vendors have contracts and policies, and they deserve to be paid. It's a sunk cost for me at this point. Basically, my question is, will I be the astronaut if I called the photographer, food, cake people back and told them to keep the money but not show up to the wedding? If Stacy is really permanently cutting me out of her life, I don't see why I should help her have the day of her dreams if I am uninvited from her wedding and her entire future. Just wondering if that's being super petty or if there's some rationale to hopefully teaching her to be a better person in the future. The fight reason is relevant. Yeah, you would think so. Probably. If it was big enough for her to uninvite OP from the wedding, it's probably relevant. That context would be important. There is an edit here. There are a couple of edits here, and Candy Thunder left us some notes. But before we get into that, my gut reaction here is, look, if you do this, it could be as simple as you got taken advantage of, right? It could absolutely be that. My gut reaction here is that if you do this, and yes, you could have been taken advantage of, she could have planned this just so you wouldn't be there, but she still got you to pay for shit. That could be premeditated. If you do this, you seal the fate of your relationship with her, right? I mean, like, yes, you may... I don't think the lesson you're hoping she's going to learn is the lesson she's going to learn. The lesson she's going to learn is you're a dick who she's never going to talk to again. And if she blows up and you guys have fights randomly, but then you have the on again part of the relationship, this would make sure that the on never happens. It's off forever. So what do you really want here? What's your goal? I guess that's the question. What is your goal, OP? If it's just to teach her a lesson, this ain't it because the collateral damage is too high. CMDR says it's more sus that he doesn't want to talk about the fight. It is. It's not relevant. Probably because it makes me look really bad. Edit! Since many of the responses seem to think the reason behind our fight is very relevant, Stacy and I were arguing about details regarding the food for the wedding. I believed that I should have a say, considering that I am paying for it all. We disagreed, and I said something along the lines of not wanting her to screw up this wedding like I screwed up the wedding with her mother, my now ex-wife. Her mother has always been very close with Stacy, especially when Stacy and I were no contact, and Stacy blew up on me since I have never directly insulted her mom to Stacy's face. Is that insulting her? That's the background, though I'm still not sure how it affects the current decision of canceling the vendors or not. No, surely not. Surely there's more to it than that. Surely OP said something directly insulting her and not saying I screwed up the wedding. That doesn't seem like a reflection on her. It can't. There's got to be more to it. I don't know how that affects the current decision of canceling the vendors. There's got to be more to it. But if that's it, and it's the first time that she's ever brought this up, then maybe, I don't know. Edit 2, it still seems to need clarifying. Just because I said daughter does not mean that I, too, am a woman. I am Stacy's father. We got that. Candy Thunder's notes here. So this is literally about food. You disagreed on a menu, and now you want to ruin her entire wedding because she didn't agree with your suggestions about the food at her wedding? Grow the up, dude. It's that simple. It is that simple. And yeah, I think there was more. I think there was more there. It's not, I think he probably said something that directly insulted his ex-wife, his daughter's mother. And that probably puffed her up. But no matter what, it doesn't matter, dude. Because the only goal that you have that you tell us about here is that you want her to learn a lesson. But if you ever want to have a relationship with her again, you cannot do this, right? I get it. But if you have an on-again, off-again relationship, what if your relationship goes to on for the wedding? Like, wouldn't you want to be there for that? Wouldn't you want that to happen? And to Candy Thunder's point here, you want to ruin her entire wedding because she didn't agree with your suggestions about the food at her wedding. Yes, I understand. You got uninvited because you escalated when that food disagreement was going on, right? You got uninvited from a wedding that you're paying $10K for. And I understand that shouldn't happen. But your reaction here, where you're willing to basically ruin her life, shouldn't happen either. So I think this is an ESH for me. This is an everyone sucks here. I'm convinced that there's more to the story with that argument and the escalation, and that you just saying you screwed up your wedding, like you screwed up the food at your wedding or the planning of your wedding, and you didn't want her to screw this one up. I'm not convinced that that was the reason for the argument here. Regardless, your reaction sucks. The way that she's handling this and disinviting someone who's paid $10K toward the wedding with no discussion sucks too. Everybody sucks. Everybody sucks. Sometimes. I don't know, man. It says, would I be the astronaut if he canceled the vendors right before the wedding? And yeah, her uninviting him might have been an overreaction if he's being completely truthful here. Might be. But I go back to what's his goal. If his goal is to never have a relationship with her again, you do you. Dr. Sweets, I understand she uninvited him, but he's not even giving her a chance to pay and still have services. That's true. That's true. I mean, if the majority of it, if it was almost all non-refundable and the little bit that he could get back, he could curl that back and say if she wants it, she can cover that. Now, doing that right before the wedding sucks. It all sucks. All of it. The whole situation here sucks. I understand, like, if you're contributing to your child's wedding, wanting to have some input, but in my opinion here, bride and groom have ultimate veto over everything. You can have input, you can be an advisor, right? But I think even if you're paying for something, that's a good question for chat here. What do you think? If you are paying $10K for your child's wedding, how much of a say should you get? Should you get input or should you get decision? It's about more than that. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again with another Reddit story for you. This one is a Best of Redditor update. Hey yo. And is titled, I got a text from my sister's bestie about her and my husband loving me too much to do anything to hurt me, with an update. Originally posted May 8th, 2024. My sister's bestie told me that she feels guilty for being a snitch, but that she couldn't do this to me anymore because she thinks that I'm a kind person. I don't deserve this. My sister and my husband have always gotten along very well. They're both brilliant. Both lecturers at the university, and they have so much in common. I'm not stupid, but I never loved school, and I have high school education. They have become best friends throughout the years, 14 years, but never once did I feel uncomfortable about it since my husband has shown me nothing but love and respect. The opposite. Until now, I counted myself lucky that the two people I love most in this world get along so well. Oh! The sister's bestie was warning OP about her sister and the husband. I'm sorry. But now I feel nauseated. The bestie sent me screenshots upon screenshots of her conversation with my sister. My sister has feelings for my husband, and she appears to know that my husband feels the same way about her too. In one of the texts, my sister wrote that she loved me too much to do anything to hurt me. In another, she wrote that I am too dear to both her and my husband to do anything that would hurt me. She seems to think that they're soulmates, which is odd because the talk about soulmates came up once between my husband and I when I told him that I didn't want us to be soulmates. He was curious and asked me why. I told him because soulmates meant that we are programmed or destined to fit together. There's no free will involved, and I want my love to come from a free space, not a predestined place. He laughed and said he loved that, but apparently they're soulmates. I know that I need to talk to him, but I am dreading that. I am in so much despair right now. Relevant comments here. A commenter says, if what the friend sent is true, you need to take a moment to gather your thoughts before this talk you need to have with your husband. If possible, check his phone so you have a first-hand look at the communication, not the friend's one. If real, the emotional affair is more than enough of a betrayal. OP responds, for me, even an emotional affair is a deal breaker, unfortunately. And we have an edit. Edit, same post, same day. Hi, thanks for your help. I asked how I would be sure before asking my husband so he doesn't just blatantly lie, and you suggested I look into his phone. Thanks for the suggestion. I did. I told him about my sister's conversations with her best friend and showed him the screenshots. He was shocked at first and said he had no romantic feelings for her and he had no idea about her feelings, so I asked to see his phone. I read their texts and emails, and I was shocked that their contact is way more extensive and intense than I thought. They talk on a daily basis. They have lunch multiple times a week. Nothing sexual in the text, but yeah, he is stupid if he doesn't know that she loves him, and he must think that I am stupid if after reading I wouldn't get the feeling that he has some feelings too. In one of her texts, she wrote that she wished they had met first and under different circumstances. His answer wasn't totally dismissive. He wrote, yeah, it probably would have been different. When I asked him about it, he said, well, yeah, if he didn't know and love me, he probably would have been interested in another, my sister included. But he loves me, and she is a close friend of his. So there's no sexual relationship between them, but I am not sure that's enough for me. I think they're both wrong and should have nipped it in the bud way earlier. I don't know what to do now. I think I need time for myself to process this. I don't feel well at all about this, and I don't want to make decisions from a place of fear and hurt nor convenience. I'm sorry I can't answer all private messages because I don't use my phone that often, but our ages are, my husband's 45, I'm 42, my sister is 38. My husband and I have been together for 16 years and married for 14. My sister is single. I'm not a stay-at-home mom. I have my own business. We don't have children. My sister has 2 from a previous relationship. Another update here, but before we dive into that, given what we know now, how does that change things? Can he seriously not think or not be aware of her feelings for him? Is he innocent here? Emotional intelligence and brain smarts are not the same thing, right? They're not the same thing at all. He knows it wasn't okay, but like the attention, he very well could have no freaking clue. Like we talked about in the podcast with Ellen and Sergeant Mac, like the conversation was about the game. And it's more of like as a woman, you have to know how to play the game, but it is not this kind of game, obviously. But the conversation was between Sergeant Mac and I, like, we don't even know the game's going on. Like, there are things that women are aware of socially that men have no idea are happening. And it could be the same situation here. He could truly have no idea. The fact that his wife was surprised how much they talk and how often they have lunch together, those are red flags. For me, that is a context clue that says, yeah, he knew something was wrong because he was withholding that information. If she didn't know how often they talked and how often they met, why did she not know? She didn't know because he didn't mention it. Why did he not mention it? Because he knew it was wrong? What other reasons could there be? He's just oblivious, JD. It's the whole her being surprised about how about the frequency and depth of their communication. He didn't hide it though. You're right, get jazzy on it. He was like, yeah, sure, take a look. It could be. I mean, if he had kept her in the loop about how often they were talking and meeting for lunch, I'd feel much better about it, but he could be completely oblivious here. And he didn't hesitate to hand his phone over. So good for him there. He could have been enjoying the intellectual conversation and friendship so much that he was intentionally ignoring the romantic vibes that she was sending his way or deflecting them, right? The pretending it's not there because that complicates things and he doesn't want to complicate things. He enjoys their friendship too much to complicate things. So he pretended like it didn't exist. He was in denial, both to himself and to his wife. Entirely possible. Here's the update. Same post, May 9th, 2024, next day. So now I have had some long talks and discussions with my husband. He seems to think that this is getting bigger than it is supposed to because I told him that I needed time alone to think and digest this. He said that he doesn't understand why I am this hurt since he loves me and nobody else. I didn't relent, however, and he admitted that he knows that my sister is in love with him because she has told him so. Oh, well, shit, sir. And you just ignored it. You just like, I will not let my wife know about this because that will complicate things. But she knows that nothing can happen between them, so she is fine with just the friendship. Martyr. He loves her, but not romantically, and he's happy to have a friend like her. Their friendship is important to him, and he doesn't want it to end because I don't trust him and his love for me. Dude, you can't be friends with someone who says that they're in love with you. It doesn't work that way. You're like, could you just put a pin in that? Could you like deactivate that part of you so we can still be friends? And she's like, sure. And he's like, cool. He made a comparison to my best friend and asked what I would think if he asked me to cut my best friend out of my life. He admitted that intellectually he has more in common with her than with me, but that the heart doesn't always choose who we are more compatible with, and he loves and is physically attracted to me. I think this whole situation is messed up. I am repulsed by them both. I texted my sister all of her screenshots, and she wrote that she was disappointed in her bestie, and that your husband is all yours because I would never let anything happen that would hurt you because you are the most important person to me. Clearly, bitch. Is that why you confessed your love to my husband? In other words, they are both contradicting each other since both seem to believe that they are the one who is not letting a relationship between them grow for my sake. So sister's like, he has feelings for me, but I've told him I will never because of you. Okay. Harlot. It's not getting any better. There's another update, I think. Relevant comments there on them meeting for lunch. About the lunches, he says that it's because they both work at the university and they eat lunch when both are in office. But that isn't true because they don't work in the same building. Commenter, how did he act? Was he truly shocked? Why did he hide how intense their communication was? Original OP, he was probably more shocked that my sister is talking to her best friend about this. Otherwise, he knows everything and probably likes it or he would have stopped it. Commenter, other women's husbands are not your soulmates. As an academic, I know academics are often very emotionally dysregulated individuals inclined to abstract and even magical thinking. Are you sure she isn't delusional? They both sound like idiots. Original OP, they are idiots. Yes, if I was her and I had developed feelings for my sister's husband, I would have nipped it immediately. She is not a heroine for not wanting to hurt me and sacrificing her happiness instead. If I was him, I would have immediately gone no contact with someone who has feelings for me, if we are to believe that he doesn't reciprocate her feelings like he is pretending, if I had any respect for my spouse. So they are both idiots. Yes. We have another update. The biggest surprise for me in this is that they've been married for 16 years. This is just now coming to a head. She's 38. The sister is 38, but she's single. So it's like she's always been pining for him. And finally, it got to a point where she just couldn't take it anymore. Or it got to a point where the friend couldn't take it anymore and was like, you know what? This is up. I'm ratting you out. Check deleted messages. Update post June 15th, 2024, 1 month and 1 week later. I have written here and a few comments about my soon-to-be ex-husband and my sister. I left him about a week after, and he texted me day and night about how much he loved me and wanted me back, and then he just stopped. That's when I found out that my sister left her children at my parents' house and moved in with my husband. Oh. This made everything come out to the rest of my family, and my parents were shocked, and my mother really looked like she was already showing PTSD symptoms about how disgusting she felt this whole thing was. She kept calling it incest and asking, is that even legal? Bless her heart. I guess that is how much my sister cared not to hurt me if you read my first post. Even though I have been well composed and so calm that I surprised myself, I still tried my hardest to look back on my whole life, childhood, and upbringing to understand when it all went so wrong. What my sister did felt like something that was the result of years of resentment, or at least indifference towards me and our relationship as sisters. So how did I miss that? She never cared about me, did she? If she didn't, how could I have been so blind? Then not even a week later, I heard that they have ended things. I found out in the oddest way possible. My sister texted me. The first time she texted me since everything started, she just wrote, "You be, I hope you burn in life and in hell." I was very confused because she just spent that week sharing cheesy, deep quotes about love and soulmates and romantic Insta stories with my soon-to-be ex-husband, but apparently that was over. Soon-to-be ex-husband has blocked her everywhere and she moved out because she came to my parents to get her children and had a meltdown when they asked for an explanation. Soon-to-be ex started calling and texting me again asking to meet because he wanted to explain because he loved me and wanted me to understand. He wanted to meet at least once before we started to meet with lawyers involved. So that is that. This has left me even more confused than if they had just ended up together. I understand falling out and in love, breaking up and starting anew, but I can't explain this. My soon-to-be ex Keeps calling me his only love and true friend, and my sister, until I left, kept promising that she would never do anything to hurt me. She left her children at my parents' doorstep and didn't answer their calls or texts for a week. What? And all of this for a week? What were they thinking? Has anyone here heard of something like this happening? People throwing everything away for not even a week? What? What's happening? I don't think there's any way in hell OP would go back to Jabroni here. I don't think there's any way. Hatter, how much you want to bet that he got what he wanted from the sister and now he's done with her? Thanks for the great time. Now beat it. Relevant comments for this commenter, speak to my attorney. I'd have that as my outgoing voice message. Smart. Original OP, I haven't answered any calls from him, his family, or unknown numbers. I don't answer any texts either. Comment, men come and go, but his sister doing this is a abomination. I could not imagine betraying my sister like this. She ruined her own damned life. What is she blaming you for? Being married to her affair partner? I'd let her bitch ass have him. Let her bitch ass have him. Original OP, she can most certainly have him. Commenter, so they actually admitted to being together? Did they admit to the affair? Original OP, I don't know, to be honest. I don't think he knew that I knew they were together until he found out she was sharing it on Instagram. Commenter, I remember your first post. What threw me was him giving a whole spiel on how he loves you and doesn't love your sister in that way. And the first thing he does is move your sister into y'all's home. He's living in regret right now. These two are probably still in contact. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up together. Shake my head, onward and upward. Original OP, I don't think they are still in contact. No. Commenter, this is a thing with infatuation crush. You build someone up in your mind, but the reality is so very different. It's funny that it only took 1 week for them to fall apart. Your sister is dumping her kids, speaks volumes about the type of person she is. Agreed. I hope her life is hell. I hope karma her to the maximum. Go see him, let him explain, get your closure, and for the love of all that is holy, cut your sister off. Original OP, as much as I am confused and want answers, I don't want to get them from him. I don't know how the divorce will be done and if I'm going to need to see him or not. Hopefully not, but if it happens, my lawyer can do the talking. That's why I'm here instead. Maybe people here have experience with something similar and can explain what the happened these past 2 months. Hot take. What if she dumped her kids? She showed up at your house where soon-to-be ex is staying, and you said communication just stopped with him, right? How crazy is she? I think it's entirely possible she held him prisoner there for a week and finally gave up because he wouldn't break. Could have hit his phone. Oh, she could have hit his phone. I mean, look, I'm not saying, sweet but unlikely. Yeah, she didn't Kathy Bates him. She could have Kathy Bates him completely. I'm not saying this is what happened, but it's possible. It's possible. She's already unhinged. We know this. She dumped her kids without saying a word. And then he dropped off the face of the earth communication-wise. I don't know. I wish we knew what happened after this. I wish we knew why she left. And I wish we knew why she was so mad when she left, why she was mad at OP. I think there's still a very possible route here where Brozo, he's a Brozo no matter what. Whether he's innocent or not, he's a Brozo, right? For being in denial, for ignoring the love confession, if that is true, and not passing it along to his wife, also not revealing how frequent and deeply meaningful their contact was. Not coming clean about that, not good for him. There's still a just Brozo route to this where he was oblivious, denial. Once she confessed love, that all kind of changes. But him believing that she could actually shove that down and still be friends, that is still entirely possible. And it's entirely possible that she just showed up and he let her in and she wouldn't leave for a week. Brozo. I mean, look at it. Like, even then, even if he is innocent here and he just wanted a friend, the fact that he hid the love confession, he hid how frequent and deeply meaningful their contact was enough of a lie to land him in this position. If he was hiding it, he knew it was wrong. If he was in denial, he knew it was wrong. Sister stopped by to console him and then wouldn't leave. Jennifer, the sister, was his best friend, and I think he thought he'd have that friend-zoned comfort. Well, yeah, what kind of mother abandons her children for a man, especially her sister's husband? I mean, that's the worst part of this by far. She is absolutely Ascon 1 Delulu Bizzo, right? There's no way around it. No way around it. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with yet another Reddit story for you. This one comes from AITA, but it's about a cake. Title of this one is, Am I the Astronaut for Not Letting a Pregnant Woman Have Any of My Birthday Cake? My birthday was yesterday, and my husband invited his best friend, Matt, and his best friend's pregnant girlfriend, Jane, out for a barbecue. They live 2 houses down from us. It was only us, our 3 children, and them here, and their 3 kids. I spent about $90 on hamburger and hot dogs. Matt also showed up with 2 pounds of hamburger. While the guys cooked, I went swimming with all the kids in our pond. Jane sat near the guys on her phone. Around 5:30ish, the guys called the kids up for food. Me and my middle child, 9, weren't hungry yet, so we kept swimming. We spent a good 40 extra minutes in the pond on our tubes. I wasn't paying any attention to anything that was going on near the grill. Around 6:15ish is when my husband said that he was going to make a store run for beer, so I tell my son that we should probably go eat now. My husband and Matt are gone by the time we get up to the grill, and so is Jane. Well, we get up to the grill and all the food is gone. Literally everything. I call my husband and ask him where all the food is, and he said it should be on the grill. I told him that everything is gone. There was a long pause before he goes, Jane asked if she could take some leftovers, but I didn't think she would take all of it. He then tells me that there were at least 8 burgers and 10 hot dogs left, as well as macaroni salad when he left for the store 10 minutes prior. Oh boy. I tell him to call Matt and see where the all the food is. He does. He then calls me back and says that Matt claims Jane only took a few and that they had already been eaten. But my oldest son, 13, straight up tells me he saw Jane walk off of our property carrying the entire dish, one of those extra large tinfoil barbecue dishes. Anyways, I'm pissed at this point. Me and my son hadn't eaten anything. My husband is also pissed, but he just grabbed me and my son something from the store instead of making a huge fuss. I don't really blame him. He and Matt work together, so it is what it is. But anyway, much to my surprise, Jane and her kids come back over 45 minutes later to ask if they can have some of my cake. I tell Jane that her kids can, but she can't. She asks why, and I said, I'm pretty sure you've eaten plenty considering you took off with my entire barbecue dinner before me and my son could eat anything. She tried arguing that my husband told her she could have it, that half of it was hers, because they brought 2 pounds of hamburger meat, and that she didn't realize me and my kid hadn't eaten. She was beside the grill the entire time. I just shrugged my shoulders and walked away. She tells her kids to, let's go, and they leave without cake. Now I'm feeling like I might be the asshole. No one has said anything, but I know there's tension. No, you're not the asshole. There's some look, there is a possible path here where she's just dumb. There's a possible path where she's just completely oblivious to everything going on around her. And she was like, can I have some of this food? Or can I have this food? And he's like, yeah. And she takes it all and truly didn't know that you hadn't eaten. But then coming back over 45 minutes and being like, we're back for cake. Everything was so good. We're ready for dessert now. Now it looks a little more sus. Or does it? If she comes back, is that a sign of innocence? I don't know. It feels like I'm with OP here. I'm like, bitch stole my food. No, I'm sorry. And I'm so glad that OP said your kids can, but you can't. And then she made the kids leave. So them not getting cake is on her. I don't want the kids to not have cake, but if they're going to go without cake, I'd rather it be on her, right? But I'm with OP on this. I think it's shitty. But there is that small possibility that she's either just dumb or oblivious or had tunnel vision. There's a possible path there. Dark Sweet, to me, at least take a moment to say bye to the birthday person, then you would know OP didn't eat. That's true. Yeah, I mean, if there were any kind of standard manners involved here at all, this wouldn't have happened, right? Which is why I say the only small sliver of hope I see here is that she's truly just dumb, which is possible. From the sounds of it, I'd be dumb for that barbecue platter too, and I'd play dumb to come back for cake. Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. Also, You can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.